not sure what else can go wrong today, but I just spent probably an hour, no, maybe less, trying to get out of the parking lot again. Nothing worked. You see, here it's okay. It's still spinning, but it's moving. But over there was very sharp, kind of like rocks, you know, made out of ice. And of course this 4x4, it's all, like I said, it's all BS. It does nothing. And also I drained the air from the Jeep. I drained the air from the Jeep so that more weight goes on the truck. But it's, yeah, it's very slippery, so. And the problem is over here, there's just a coffee shop and there's a small service station. I go inside, I said, you guys sell salt by any chance? She says, no. I said, where can I buy one? She says, about 7 minutes walk downtown. And I'm thinking, okay, so 7 minutes, and then how am I gonna get back? You know, with 40 feet, 40 pounds of material, you know? And it's minus 27, it was minus 28 at 2 in the morning, which is about minus 18 F. So I idled the truck all night, and basically what happened is I couldn't get out. I was rocking first gear, second gear, reverse, fourth, you know, I tried everything. Nothing works. So now, just for once, we're not gonna stop at the stop sign. Neither this one nor the other one, I'm sorry. If I stop here, I'll be sitting here till spring. And this is probably the last time I stop at this BS place in Longlac. Nothing works. You know, you go into the washroom, the door has no lock. And you see, I fixed I fixed my windshield washer. Tried everything, turns out, yeah, the nozzle is frozen, and so I just hooked up the line with a cable. So of course there's no pressure. It's because it's very big, right? So it uses a lot of liquid, but at least I can clean it, because yesterday, I'm telling you, it was really bad. Like, especially when somebody passes me, you know, they splash mud, because it was all, you know, salt on the road, right? And so all that mud forgot to disconnect my 4x4 and my differential lock, and it doesn't like it. I was reading the manual yesterday. They said when you hook up axle 1 and axle 2, do not exceed 25 miles per hour or 50 kilometers an hour. And you see, as soon as I reached 50 clicks an hour, it gave me a warning. And so yeah, this is awful. This is not a way to make money, I'm telling you. Like, I did almost 90 liters per 100 kilometers yesterday, and for some reason the truck didn't want to drive. I don't know, it was not pulling. And then I checked the manual for my Davco fuel filter, and I remember, and somebody asked me about this, like, is my fuel filter housing, does it have a heat? And so I looked at the manual, and yeah, it shows electric preheater, and also shows coolant heat. And I remember they were asking me when they were installing, they were saying, do you want the electric preheat, like 12 volts, or you just want the coolant heat? And I said, you know, my truck starts usually okay, so I don't need the preheat, but give me the coolant. Just hook up the coolant to the housing, And so I remember that's what I told him. And so now I look at the picture, and sure enough, there's right where there's that tap, you know, that you open to drain fuel. To the left of that, like closer to the front, there's two connectors. One is for that 12-volt preheat, and the other one is for the coolant. And so I opened the hood this morning, and I checked, and I see a wire in there, but it's very tiny. I don't know, it's like 4 millimeters in diameter. As you know, I'm at 8 low, and I look at my fuel filter restriction is okay, less than 2, but my throttle is on the floor. But right now there's so much weight. There's so much weight on the trailer because all that salt just froze, you know. I went to the back there to check my last axle. Remember I was saying it doesn't want to do automatic preheat. I mean automatic level, and I see it was low, so I tried to increase the air, and I need to turn that handle. Everything is frozen into ice with salt. And so I had to get a knife. Yeah, I see, like, I don't know, like I might be in trouble at some of these hills, but at least the road is clear. Yeah, this is terrible. So anyway, I couldn't get out of that parking lot, so no salt, right? So finally what I did is I got my chains, my tire chains that I bought a couple of months ago when I was going somewhere west, right? Because they need to, BC, when I was going to BC. You see? My throttle is on the floor, but for some reason, well, of course I'm heavy. So I'm grossing now about what? Let's say 90,000 pounds plus 74, so 164. That's a lot of weight. And so yeah, I got my chains out, and I didn't want to put them on because I have those fenders in there, right? And so I did this before with the other truck when I got stuck like this. So I just put chains right under the tires, you know, just push them against the tires. And after a couple of minutes I was able to get out because the tires went on the chains, which created some kind of attraction. And yesterday in some of these situations I could feel my wheels were spinning because this Jeep takes too much weight from the truck. I hardly have any load on the truck. Yeah, for these roads you really need you know, a tri-drive truck. I saw a guy came with oversized load. He had a tri-drive truck, no problem. He just went past me. I'm rocking there trying to go first, you know, forward, backwards, forwards, backwards. Nobody offered to help. One guy drove by, said, "Hey, Captain Sergei, the hero of the YouTube." I said, "Yeah, have a good day, sir." And so I drove to the spot of the parking lot where there was it didn't have those icy rocks. I went back, got the chains. So they can be useful. Like, I hate them, but a situation like this, you don't have any road salt. You know, like I already can see somebody's typing carry kitten liter. Yeah, but you know how many kittens you have to keep in the truck to have liter? It's just not realistic. And of course now everything is cold. My front axle is cold, my rear axle is cold, transmission is 170F. Okay, so I get out, right? I go grab my chains. On the way back, I stop at the Jeep and I flip down the lever to reinflate suspension. Guess what? Nothing happens. I flip like this, but down, up, no air. Man. And then I realized what happened. There's all that salt and snow inside, so it's probably covered the right height control, so the right height control cannot move. And I crawled under. I cannot find the right height control. I don't remember which part of the Jeep it is, because underneath it's all white and ice, and I cannot just blindly, you know, start scraping away, because I can damage. If I grab that right height control, you know, it's really flimsy, right? If I grab it with my hand, I can damage it. And so I go back to the little housing where the lever is, and I see the pressure now is at 20 psi. So it was coming back, and then I left it. I was watching. It was already like 38, 39, so it was filling up, so which is good. So looks like eventually it'll fill up. So I sent an email this morning to dispatch. I said we'll try to be in Dryden tonight, but I'm not optimistic this will happen. And so yeah, I celebrated a little bit yesterday ahead of time for my birthday, which is today, and I went to sleep. I started the bunk heater, so the engine was off, and at 2 o'clock in the morning I feel for some reason it's cold, you know. Like before it was very comfortable with the heater, and I'm like, okay, I better check the temperature, you know. So I turned the key to check the temperature. It was at 2 in the morning, it was minus 28, minus 18 Fahrenheit. So right away I started the engine, and surprisingly the engine just started at the first turn of the key, because I was fueling up in Northern Ontario, so they have to use additives here, right? And also I got 2 cases of that nice green stuff I bought. It was like $7 Canadian per liter. So I got like 24 cases, and each time I was filling up I would put 1 case, 1 liter. And so I got good fuel. And then I went in there and I was thinking what to do. How do you clean this? I watched a couple of videos on YouTube. What to do when the windshield wash does not get on your windshield, right? So, and of course somebody has a video on YouTube about this. And one guy was saying just try a needle. He says usually it's the nozzle, because the nozzle there, the holes are very small, right? So if some dirt gets in or ice or something, as he said, try the needle or a small wire. And I look everywhere. I remember I had like a pack of needles with some threading, you know, for like emergency repair when your button falls off or something, right? I cannot find it. I looked everywhere. So I got my bracelet. I got that bracelet, and there's a couple of tiny wires in there that you use to secure it on your hand. But it turns out they're like this. They're like a prong, you know, and they're connected like this. So I couldn't clean it. I was blowing into it. I was pouring all kind of stuff on it. I even put some vodka on it. Nothing. And then I disconnected the hose and I tried blowing into it, it was also very hard. So I opened the lid from the coolant and I started blowing, and I thought I could feel the movement of air slightly. So there was probably some ice in there somewhere as well. So anyway, yeah, I got that I got a zip tie, and I just zip tied that hose. At least it gives me something, you know. But so now I know what the problem is. And you see the truck just doesn't want to accelerate. Like there's I don't know, the heel is, I don't know, 1%. Just keep going in the 8 low, 84 kilometers an hour, until my axles warm up, because yeah, the axles are dead cold. I can see my temperature in the differentials, but you know, even 84 kilometers, 52 miles, you know, if you drive for 10 hours you can do 500 miles. My brother sent me a 6:30, which is about 3 o'clock in Moscow, Russia. My brother sent me a video with his mom where they congratulated me, you know. It was cool. And he sent me 200 bucks Canadian by PayPal. This is no way to drive, you know. 80 kilometers an hour, everything is frozen, nothing works, and the trailer is covered. It's like armor, you know. You cannot just hit it with your fist and break it. It just stuck to the trailer like glue, you know. Unbelievable. So I wonder what kind of salt are they using here, that it just got frozen into the metal, you know. But yeah, what I saw when I was watching that video about the about how to clean the nozzle, so the guy says, okay, so if the needles don't work or the wires, small wires don't work when you try and inside there, he says just take it off and put it in some warm liquid. I forget, he was using, I think he was using like a vinegar or something that can dissolve dirt, and something that's warm, right? And he was saying, like on his car, he was doing this on the car. On the car, that thing was actually under the hood, and it was just had 2 clips. You know, it was secured with just 2 clips. There's no nuts, no bolts. You just have to know which way to push them. But I was afraid to break mine, so I'm gonna look at it when I stop at the truck stop. I'm gonna see if I can take it off, since now, you know, I have the hose connected to the wiper, and so I'll take that one and get it in the truck where it's warm and clean it with something. I got all kinds of oil and you know, that spray. Oh, I got that electric contact cleaner. I think that one would work. And the axles are still cold, right? I've been driving, what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes? They're still at 0. But the transmission now is at 180. That means that the axles should start warming up soon. And so the next stop is Nipigon Husky, where they have a restaurant, but of course everything is closed now. It's all takeout only. But I forgot to clean my windows. So like the mirrors are okay, but there's so much dirt on the windows. You cannot see. You hardly can see anything in the mirrors, which is not good. Alright, let's see, what is my fuel economy now? Oh, beautiful, 102 liters. Excellent. Man. So 100 liters per 100 kilometers, that means I'm burning 1 liter per kilometer. It's ridiculous. Well, actually it's less, because now I see that blue dot went left. Yeah, no, it cannot be 100 liters. That just, something is wrong with the engine, I think. So anyway, just wanted to show you guys this. That's what happens in cold weather, right? So the windshield wiper frozen, the right high control on the booster frozen. Remember the one I was fixing in the parking lot in Cambridge? The right high control on the Jeep works, but it's probably just stuck in snow. Got stuck in the parking lot yesterday, got stuck in the parking lot today. Well, the only positive thing about this is, like my brother always says, you know, look on the positive. Yeah, that's what I told you when we lived in Moscow. You know, he was also always negative, and I was telling him we go into the subway station, and the train just left. Like we see the last car leaving, you know, driving by, and he says, "Shoot, we just missed our train." And I said, well, that's one way to looking at it, but I said you can also think about it like this: we are too early for the next train. And he said, yeah, you're right. So now he's always trying to look at the positive, and he reminds me to do the same. So the positive in this situation is that I get a lot of exercise, you know. Yesterday I was walking with, I was pretty much practicing farmer's walk, which is the exercise with my kettlebells. So it's when you walk around carrying a kettlebell in each hand. Farmer's walk. So I was doing that yesterday with those 20-pound bags of salt twice. Because first I bought 2 bags, it was not enough. I went back, got 2 more. Should have gotten 2 more, you know, on the way out, because that place had lots of of those salt bags, and they were stacked right outside. And they were like $7 each. $7 Canadian. good news is that I checked the weather. So this morning, so over here it was minus 28. In Dryden it was minus 31 Celsius. But I think tomorrow it's over there it's going to be minus 22. But Wednesday it's going to be like minus 14. So pretty much you can walk around in shorts and swimming trunks. So yeah, this is not a good way to celebrate a birthday. Oh, I think now it started pulling. Like I'm not even changing. I'm on a cruise control. So the RPM went down to 1140, but now it starts rising. But I don't know. Driving like this, it'll take me forever to get to Edson, Alberta. But the good news is that, again, I checked the distance. Once I make it to Dryden, from there it's about 2 hours to Manitoba. And from Dryden to Edson, it's 1,100 miles. 1,100 miles. So basically, if you have like a dry van, you can definitely do it in 2 days. And I'm losing, no, I'm gaining 1 hour after Thunder Bay. Because we're switching to Central Time. So when I stop in Nipigon, I want to get some breakfast to go, and then I need to find that ride height control and clean it up. And this is the spot. This is Geraldton, Ontario. This is the spot where I mentioned this before. This used to be a gas station over here. And I was sitting right here, and it hit minus 40 overnight, which is the same in Celsius and Fahrenheit, right? That's where I got stuck. And the oil just froze, so I had to call the guys with the special torches. And they took them 4 hours or something to warm up the engine's oil. And what happened, it was the bunk heater. The culprit was the bunk heater, because I closed the curtains, I slept, watched some movies, it was comfortable, right? And the bunk heater worked all night. And then I get up in the morning and the truck is dead. I try to start it, nothing. finally the first axle, the drive axle, reached 100 degrees, 100F. Let's see if we can pick up enough speed to go into 8 high. 1290, 1300, 1310, 1330, 1340, 1350, which is 93 kilometers an hour. Wow. Be a very long drive to Nipigon. I'm 158 kilometers away, so basically 100 miles. And I'll have to fuel up again in Nipigon. I'm pretty sure the they have DEF at the pump, but pretty sure in this weather it's gonna be shut down. So I got 2 jugs of DEF, and now I'm between a quarter and a half on the DEF. So I'm probably gonna put in both jugs in. Should change my batteries, because yeah, I noticed in cold weather that I get that after a few hours on the bunk heater, I get that message, you know, on the dash, low voltage, disconnect. It just loses the charge faster than it should. There's a couple of trucks behind me and a car. I'm not sure what the problem is. Like, yeah, you can pass, right? There's open road. I should have bought more of that, you know, de-icer, that spray. That would be helpful now. It's probably the coldest ever. I don't know, I don't remember last time I was trucking. No, it happened to me in the yellow truck, in the International. So that minus 40 situation, that was with my International. And also remember, I was delivering like a mechanic's truck. Back then I had a step deck. I was delivering a mechanic's truck to a mine near Capus Casing. And it was minus 28, and I remember the fuel was just, you can see the needle moving, you know. I almost ran out of fuel in the middle of nowhere, so I switched to 8 low, and I started driving, like, you know, again, 80 kilometers an hour. But of course the trick is to keep your RPM low, right? So that's the fuel. The higher your RPM is, the more fuel you're gonna burn. So yeah, all I need now is I need to find that right height control. On the Jeep, make sure I have it can move so it can pump air. And I need to fill up, I need to add the def, and I need to take off the nozzle. Maybe I'll try to take it off, you know, after I fuel, but before I go into the restaurant. See if they can give me some hot water, you know. And probably the kitchen, they should have some of that stuff, you know, that you used to like to clean saucepans and stuff. Just I'll ask them, just give me a cup of water and put some of that stuff. Actually, wait a second. I think I got a cleaner here. Oh yeah, I got this simple green. I just need some hot water. And I'm gonna clean up that nozzle. And then dry it, make sure it's dry, because otherwise that water will, of course, just freeze in there. And yesterday, situation like this, you know, over there it was icy, and I could feel my drive tires were spinning a little bit, you know, because I see my RPM would, you know, like now, for example, it's 1200, right? And then all of a sudden it'll go 1500, and I hear the noise, and I see a warning, says, you know, like a little picture of a spinning wheel. Because yeah, it's ridiculous, 50 psi. Because of course this load, you don't need a tandem Jeep, right? You need a single axle Jeep, or you need a tri-drive truck. Basically, I'm thinking tri-drive truck. So my truck is 27,000 pounds. I know a tri-drive would be about 30,000, so 3,000 pounds heavier, which doesn't help, but you get, let's say, 60,000 pounds on the last 3 axles, right? And then in Alberta you get 16. That's the maximum you can get on the steer. So 16 and 60, and then you take 3 plus 1, 60 and 20, let's say, right? So what is that? 80, 140, 156. 156. And I'm right now, if I had that, I would be 65. And so with the tri-drive, you'd be 68. So let's say 70. So that would be enough for 90,000 pound load, but barely, you know? But I would be much lighter. Because permits, of course, you know, the more you weigh, the more they charge you for permits. knew that something like this would happen, right? And that's why I paid the tire guy over there in Cambridge to check my tires. So he says he made it. I forgot to tell him, like, I know I did 120 over here on the truck and 125 on the trailer. And then I asked him to check on the truck as well, but I think I forgot to tell him exactly how much. But I saw he was pumping air, so. But imagine if it was the temperature was minus 10 Celsius, right? And you have 120 psi in your tires. Now, question for the Google users. You can just Google it. How much air pressure you lose? This guy is nuts. Look at this. But actually, yeah, the turn was not too bad. I thought it was much sharper, so but at least you can see them from a long way off. Well, that's the brave guy. That's why they have so many accidents over here. Yeah, on the road it's nice, right? So it's been a while since it snowed here. Because I can see it's all cleaned up and the snow on the shoulder is already getting dirty. Sitting there, I called my mom because now she has a smartphone. My brother, I think he got a new phone, and so he gave his old smartphone to my mother, whereas before she just had a basic flip phone, so she couldn't, you know, she didn't have any internet on the phone. So now she has the older model, but it's a smartphone. And so my brother introduced her to WhatsApp, you know, that messenger and calling app. And he emailed me and he says now you can use WhatsApp to call her, and he was teaching her how to use it. And so I call her. I installed WhatsApp. I tried it before, I didn't like it, so now I install it. Took me 2 minutes. And then I dialed that number that my brother gave me, like a new number. And the connection was crystal clear. As if we're talking in the same room, you know? And I was calling from that Robin Donuts place where I got stuck in the parking lot. And she says she caught a cold, not a COVID, but she got a cold, like, you know, she was coughing, and my brother went there to take care of her because she was very weak. And I said, "Are you vaccinated?" She said, "Yeah." So she says now she's gonna go for her booster shot. The front axle now is at what is it, 140, 120, 120F. The second axle is still at 0, and the transmission now is at 165. The transmission is working hard because I'm shifting. And I got two spare fuel filters, and I got the tool, so I don't like it, but if need be, I can change them. So the most irritating thing now is that stupid nozzle. I don't want to break it, right? So I'm pretty sure just it has some clips, but I didn't see anything. Oh, and yesterday I had to buy some new batteries for my flashlight, because the ones I bought before, they were old, didn't last long. But now it's working. All right, what else happened? I'm running one video behind. You know, because too much power is needed to prepare the video. Which reminds me, I should charge my computer. While I'm driving, it charges pretty fast. And yesterday I wanted to make it over here, but I didn't want to sit on the side of the road. So this is called the rest area. I'm not sure how it qualifies as a rest area, but it has this wide shoulder, and it's paved. Actually, probably if I was here, I wouldn't get stuck, but there's no coffee. I think there's a washroom in there, and there's trucks driving by all night. So we're about 1 hour away from that Robin Donuts place. But a couple of times I slept here on the way back to back to Cambridge, because I was shooting for Robin Donuts, but it was already dark, and so I stopped here. And this area is actually it's shown on the tracker path. That's how I found it. It says rest area, Highway 11. And I remember first time I almost missed it, but it was summer, and I could see the paved you know, shoulders. And I think there was a truck parked there. Like, if there was no truck, I could have missed it, because it was already getting dark. But now I know. So about 1 hour west of Longlac, when you're going west, so about 60 miles, so 100 kilometers. That poor guy is trying to pass me. Skinny bridge. Now these guys that move timber, man, so they live here and they work here in this frigid environment. Yeah, so the next load will be to Hawaii. I'm telling you. I'm gonna put on load link, you know, load link, by the way, is one stupid feature over there. You cannot see, it's Canadian load board, right? You cannot see loads unless you post your truck. So you have to post your truck. Let's say I did Edmonton, 500 miles of Edmonton going to, let's say, Houston, Texas, right? 1,000 miles of Houston, Texas, like. And so the load board, I click on that, it shows me how many loads originate in Alberta within 500 miles of Edmonton and go to within 1,000 miles of Texas. I cannot see all the loads, but I found a hack. I can see all the loads going to Canada from anywhere. Let's say Alberta to Quebec, Alberta to Alberta, you know, or US to Alberta. It would be nice. I cannot get a search Canada to US, all Canada to all US. And so now I think that's what I posted. I posted my truck, Edmonton to Texas, Edmonton to PA, and Edmonton to Las Vegas. So I said available, I think I put in 15th or 16th of this month. Yeah, I see. So now the truck is driving, so it was just cold. We are flying at 93 kilometers an hour. Wow. I'm holding the steering wheel with two hands. The scenery is flying by. Unbelievable. Which, you know, reminds me when I worked on the railroad. I worked on the railroad. In Russian it's called проводник.
Проводник пассажирских вагонов дальнего следования.
That was my diploma, right? So I went to school for 1 year to become this, but it's not like a conductor, because in English, conductor is the guy in charge of the train. But it's more than a porter, right? Because in English, porter is the guy in charge of the car. But anyway, so I remember scenery like this. I would sit in my compartment, you know, I had my own little compartment, and I would watch, you know, the scenery beyond the window. And I remember I was just dreaming, you know, like I wasn't happy with the job, but I liked it, but I wasn't sure what else I want to do. But I always loved traveling, and I loved watching, you know, the scenery. And I remember, of course, just like this, you know, the train is moving. I have no idea what the speed was, because I'm not, well, back then there was no smartphones. Right now I would know. I would start that speed app on the phone that I have it installed, because I was checking my speedometer on my car. But back then there was nothing, right? There was no smartphone, so you can only guess, you know, you can count. That's how I would spend time. I would try to calculate the speed by, you know, they say these light posts, they're supposed to be, I don't know, 20 meters, 50 meters apart. And so when you're driving, I mean, when you're riding on a train, you can just start counting how many seconds it takes you to go from one pole to the next. But then you never know for sure what the spacing is between the poles. Like here, I have no idea. But that's one way to calculate it, right? So if you do, let's say, 50 meters in 1 second, then you just calculate, you just multiply 50 times 3600, which is seconds in an hour, and then you know your speed in meters per hour, and then you divide by 1,000, that's your kilometers, right? So if you can do 50 meters in 1 second, what is that? 5 times 30, I think it's like 180 kilometers an hour. Yeah, I don't think our trains were that fast back in the day when I worked on the railroad from 87 until about 91 or 92. And so yeah, I cannot believe that somebody is still asking questions why I need all this equipment to go to Western Canada. Like, why did I have to change the trailer, right? Well, it's because of the politics. That's what's wrong with this country and with the states. It's the politics. They cannot create a single universal rule book for heavy haul. So Western Canada is different from Eastern Canada. Kind of like in the US, right? One state is different, but at least in the States, they don't have this. All states, at least they recognize, you know, you can go with a quad trailer, except let's say somebody like Kansas will give you like 65,000 on the last 4 axles, right? Where if I'm in Illinois or New York or PA, I can get 23,000 per axle. I can get 92,000 pounds on the 4 axles, no booster, nothing. You know? Like my drive axles are rated for 23,000, so over there you can get, well, some states, you know, they go by how wide your tire is, and they will give you so many pounds per inch of the width of the tire. But technically I can get, my truck can support 20,000 here on the steer, 20,000 on the pusher for some reason. I was asking them for more, but because I have 2 super singles, my pusher axle for some reason is only rated for 20,000, which is ridiculous. And my drives are rated for 23,000 pounds. But, so that would be easy, right? If you could just get 20, 23, 23, and then 23 on each axle everywhere, then nobody would need, you know, Jeeps and boosters unless you haul something real heavy. But that's the problem, right? So Western Canada, no 4-axle trailers are allowed. So if you need 4 axles for a heavy weight like this, you need a booster. 3+1, 2+2, 3+2. Right, so 4-axle trailer is a no. And the second thing that's a no is a lift axle on the truck, right? They allow them, but it has to be up, so you don't get any weight allowance. Like years ago, they were requiring to tie him up, put a chain or strap, or take the tires off. Nowadays nobody cares, because I see Alberta guys actually now install them, but usually they just install a small, like a kind of like a steer axle from a regular truck, you know, like 13,000 pounds. And I remember I asked one guy, I said, I see he has Alberta plates. I said, why do you have a lift axle? And he says, for US, you know, because as soon as they cross the border into, let's say, Washington or Oregon or something like that, those guys over there have no problem allowing a lift axle. But Western Canada, starting from Manitoba, so it's like over here, all the way here to Dryden, and then to, I think it's called Palmerston. Palmerston, Ontario is the last town on the Ontario side. I could have kept the 4-axle trailer and used the lift axle. So unfortunately I cannot enter Manitoba like this. I mean on 8 axles. So Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, BC, that's Western Canada. That's where you must have a booster, and you must have either a tri-drive truck. Actually, a tri-drive truck will work, but a lift axle is not recognized. And so that's a long-winded answer to the question that was, I think, covered 1,500 times before. But so one country, right? Well, we have 7 provinces. They cannot come up with one standard. So it's a much smaller country in terms of population than US, right? So then it's no surprise that in the States, you know, each state is different. So one state gives you 65,000 on the quad, another state gives you 92, another state like Texas gives you 70,000 on the quad. But it's still something. It's still more than a Tridem, right? But some states will not give you any extra weight on the quad. You know, so let's say if it's 60 on the Tridem, they give you 60 on the quad. So actually you lose weight because that extra axle weighs 3,000 pounds.